How you guys doing? Welcome to my review for Arrow Season 7, Episode 20, titled Confessions. This episode was very different from most Arrow episodes. First of all, Roy Harper did return in this episode, and I thought that, just like his return in this episode, the reason I actually really liked it is because they gave him a storyline right away. It's not like he returned and he's just on the team, he's just there for no reason. They gave him a storyline, and I do appreciate that they did that, even though I feel like this is just a storyline to give him to set up the flash forwards, as well as the fact that there's not really a lot of episodes left in the show as a whole to focus on this storyline, but I still appreciate that at least he returned with a storyline and not just returning as a member of the team, although I would have also liked the other way as well. But there is obviously a reason this episode feels so different from the typical episode of Arrow, and that is because it's kind of a different genre completely. I mean, usually this is an action show, like a superhero show, but now in this episode it feels like a cop show, a detective show where they're solving a mystery, and that is essentially what it is. You have the SCPD or some certain members of the SCPD trying to solve the mystery of who killed these two guards on the scene of the Team Arrow trying to stop the Ninth Circle, and I really liked this episode. I liked how it all unfolded. I liked how each member of Team Arrow told their own version of the story, and it all kind of made sense how it all came together. All of these stories, except for like one thing, which is the fact that Diggle didn't see Oliver standing over the bodies, but Renee did. I feel like the SCPD probably should have questioned that, or maybe just Diggle didn't want to mention Oliver. I don't know, but aside from that, they all really went together, and it's pretty clear as it's revealed later that they were all lying very convincingly. I just really liked how it all unfolded. I do like this type of episode quite a lot. They recently had something similar in Young Justice Season 3, and I really liked that one, where you have a bunch of different people telling different sides of the same story, or a story that at least connects in some way. In this case, it's they all telling their perspectives on the same 20 minutes, the same area as well, the same mission that they were on, and they all piece it together in the end. And then after it's all revealed that they were all lying about what happened, you see the entire thing and how it really unfolded in real life. I really liked how they, not only just the concept of this type of episode, like on Young Justice, like on Arrow, probably on a lot of episodes of cop shows that I do not watch, I really like this type of episode, and although I don't think we're ever going to see it again, I think it would be cool to see it on The Flash in the future, maybe in possible Season 7. I just think that a one-time thing in the 180 episodes the show is going to have in the end. I'm pretty sure it's 160, 170 or something. One of them has a different type of genre, where actually earlier in the season we had a documentary style episode. This one is something similar, which is that it's a completely different genre from the regular Arrow episode, and it told this whole mission, which probably would have been pretty boring to watch for the most part, which is Team Arrow going up against the Ninth Circle. The only interesting moment would have been with the thing that happened with Arsenal, but this was a more interesting and more unique way to tell not only that story, but to reveal to the audience what happened to Arsenal long ago. So I do really like the twist in the end, where it turns out that Team Arrow was lying the entirety of the episode. There are a couple things that are revealed. One of the first things that are revealed are the fact that Black Canary was actually on the mission with Team Arrow, which I think that was not really explained in the episode why she wasn't there. I feel like the SCPD probably should have thought about the fact that she wasn't there. They really just glossed over and didn't really explain it at all. The fact that our Oliver said that they needed time to figure out or know what was actually happening, but then they actually called Roy Harper, who wasn't in town at all. It didn't really make any sense that Dinah wasn't there, so I'm glad that they cleared that up in the twist at the end. But I think that more importantly, throughout the episode, I really did not like Dinah. I like this character. I don't know why people don't like her for a lot of this show, but in this episode, she really felt like she was going against Team Arrow for absolutely no reason, just to do her job, which obviously it's her job, but at the same time, I really felt like she was going out of her way to go against Team Arrow, to really betray Team Arrow for no reason that I could think of. The first interaction we've ever seen between Dinah and Roy didn't really feel like a pleasant one, which really annoyed me, but then it's revealed that was all fake and she was on their side the entire time, so all my dislike for the character in this episode specifically all went away. So I really like not only that part of the twist, but also the rest of it as well. Because this twist also revealed that Roy Harper was the killer of these two guards. Not Emiko, not Oliver, not anybody on Team Arrow, but it was Roy Harper, which I felt like would have hit a lot harder if we've seen him in the last year or so. He hasn't really appeared at all in the last year, and I feel like that if he was already a character on this show for a very long time, I mean like recently, and he returned, or not returned, but he was still there the entire time, and in this mystery episode, it's revealed that one of the main characters of the show, not a character who just returned, killed these two guards, and now Team Arrow has to deal with that. I felt like that would have landed so much better, because now I felt like Arsenal literally just returned to be a huge liability for Team Arrow, and also just to set up the flash forwards where he is on Lian, possibly to learn to control the bloodlust, or so that there are no other people around him, because of the fact that he does not want to kill those people because of his bloodlust. But it feels like he really just returned just to be a huge liability for Team Arrow, and just to, one, set up the flash forwards of him being on Lian, but also set up the flash forwards of, I guess, vigilantes being hated in Star City. I guess that was all because of Roy Harper, so I really don't know how this is all going to turn out. But one thing I do know is that I am at least glad they gave Arsenal a storyline right when he came back, and I think this was genuinely a great twist. Definitely a twist that I did not see coming at all. Again, I genuinely disliked Dinah in this episode until the twist revealed that there was nothing to dislike at all. I also could not have guessed that Arsenal was the killer of these guards, or that one, he was killed off screen. That's a whole nother TV show that we did not get to see. He was killed off, brought back to life as Thea Arsenal, or Speedy Arsenal, and Nyssa all went up against the Thanatos Guild, or the Thanatos Guild. That could have been a whole nother either storyline in this season or the show, or just a whole nother TV show we did not get to see where Roy Harper was killed and brought back to life, or where Thea, Nyssa, and Roy all destroyed some Lazarus pits. It's insane that that all happened off screen, but that was all revealed through this whole mystery-like episode. It's also, again, revealed that Arsenal was the killer of these guards, which I did not see coming at all, and now he has this bloodlust, which again might set up the flash forwards. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I definitely think that is possible. Definitely a great twist that made this whole episode really, really worth it in the end. And then they showed the actual way all of it happened, and then they actually continued the storyline past that, where there's not really any of this mystery anymore except for who erased the security cameras or the footage on the mission. It turns out that this entire episode, everything that happened in this episode, was all a setup by Emiko Queen, which I felt like would have, again, hit a lot harder if this was a two-parter. If episode 19 or episode 20 was the big episode where the whole mystery is everything to do with who killed these guards, and then it ends with Felicity saying to Donna that, thank you for getting rid of the security camera footage, and then Donna says, I thought it was you, and then the episode ends, and then in the next episode, it explores this whole thing of being a reveal to Team Arrow that Emiko Queen set them up, and then this big showdown between Green Arrow and Red Arrow, as well as the Team Arrow versus the Ninth Circle, as well as I guess the cliffhanger in this episode either happening at the middle of the next episode or at the end of the next episode. I feel like this episode could have been a two-parter, and it might have worked just a little bit better. That being said, I do think that this ending to this episode is still really good. These scenes between Emiko and Oliver are kind of intense, and the reveal to Oliver that Emiko kind of killed his father, or at least didn't warn his father about the fact that his boat was going to get sabotaged. That was a great moment of realization on Oliver's face. Great acting from Stephen Amell, and I was genuinely expecting a hugely awesome scene where Oliver just jumps into that glass. The glass was not breakable, but I feel like he probably could have done that just to look really awesome in the moment, and have a showdown with the Red Arrow where he is incredibly angry. I really wanted to see that, but nonetheless, this was a very intense moment where it's also revealed that Emiko Queen was behind everything, and she set up, or maybe she just saw the opportunity of what was happening to set up Team Arrow, because she saw that Roy killed those guards. So she took the footage that Team Arrow lied about Roy, and then she gave the footage to the SCPD to show that Arsenal is guilty, but also to discredit vigilantes, which is how they're setting up the flash forwards. The episode also ended with a pretty interesting cliffhanger, and I'm definitely very interested to see what happens next. This episode did not get me more interested in the conflict between Oliver and Emiko, or the conflict between Team Arrow and the Ninth Circle, but I did really like the way they showed everything in this episode. I really like the type of different style they had in this episode. I like the return of Arsenal, and I like the fight scenes as well. I didn't even mention that the fight scenes were definitely pretty good. The twist at the end was awesome, and there was one intense moment between Oliver and Emiko that I did really like. So in general, really like this episode. Maybe the best episode of this season since the prison storyline ended. But anyway, I'll give it a 9.7 out of 10. But let me know what you thought about the episode in the comments down below. And if you like this video, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe. And if you haven't seen it yet, you should definitely check out my review for Avengers Endgame. My spoiler-free or spoiler review. You could check it out in the top right corner of the video. But as always, thanks for watching.